Have you ever just, stopped and thought about how ancient minds, people way back then without any of our modern tech, still tackled the really big questions about reality, motion, change?
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It really is.
And today, well, if we're doing a deep dive into one of those minds, Empedocles, from ancient Sicily, around 450 BCE, a really unique figure.
Yeah, unique is right. He wasn't just a philosopher, was he?
Not at all. He was, well, a healer, a kind of mystic, definitely a poet, and also, surprisingly, you could almost call him a proto-scientist.
Proto-scientist, wow.
Yeah, he really connected mythology, philosophy, and those very first attempts at, natural science.
Okay, so our mission today is what? Exactly to unpack his ideas.
Right. We want to unpack his, frankly, revolutionary ideas, especially how he thought about motion, using his core elements and these cosmic forces.
And the fascinating part is how much it seems to connect with modern science, right?
Exactly. It's remarkable how his ancient thinking kind of echoes concepts we talk about today.
And we're looking at this through our lens of motion theory. For anyone new listening, maybe just quickly explain that again.
Sure. Motion theory basically sees reality not as static stuff, but as fundamentally made of dynamic structured motion. It's about processes, not just things.
Like everything is a dance of energy and information.
That's a good way to put it. And Empedocles, well, he was exploring these very ideas thousands of years ago, just in his own language, his own framework.
Okay, let's dive in then. Empedocles' vision.
Yeah.
He had these four root elements: earth, air, fire, water. That sounds familiar, but how did he see them differently?
Right, it sounds like basic building blocks, but for him, they weren't static. Not at all. Our sources suggest he saw them as fundamental states of motion, like structured ways of moving.
States of motion, how does that work for, say, Earth?
Well, think of Earth. Solid, stable. For Empedocles, that was low-frequency motion loops. Imagine motion that's really tightly bound, rhythmic, creating density and resistance.
Okay, so stability comes from constrained motion. Interesting. What about water, then? It flows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Water was intermediate frequency motion. It's fluid, adaptable. Its motion loops can rearrange, sync up, always trying to find equilibrium, like water finding its level.
More dynamic than Earth, but not totally free.
Precisely. Then you have air.
Which would be higher frequency.
Yep. High frequency, expansive motion. Less constrained, free-flowing, lower thresholds for synchronization. Think of it, how air moves.
Got it. Which leaves fire, the most energetic one, I guess.
Absolutely. Fire was the extreme end. Super high frequency, high energy, rapid motion. Motion that's always looking to redistribute, transform, change things quickly. Think of a flame.
So the key takeaway is he saw these not just as substances, but as different flavors of dynamic motion.
That's the core insight, yeah. He intuitively grasped them as dynamic expressions, constantly interchanging.
Wow, that's a huge conceptual leap for back then.
Yeah.
So if everything is this dynamic motion, what actually drives the changes? What makes things combine or separate?
Good question. That's where his two famous forces come in. Love, Orphelia, and strife, Nikos.
Love and strife. Okay. And in motion theory terms, what are they?
We can think of them as early ways of talking about motion synchronization and desynchronization.
Okay. Break that down. Love is synchronization. How?
Yeah, love is the force that pulls elements together. It creates complexity, stability, harmony. It's about motion aligning, achieving rhythmic coherence, like dancers moving in sync.
Okay. A unifying force through rhythmic alignment. So strife must be the opposite.
Exactly. Strife is the separating force. It breaks down those complex structures, dismantles them into simpler states with less synchronization. It's rhythmic breakdown, misalignment.
Separation, differentiation.
Right.
So the big picture he's painting is like a constant cosmic tug of war cycle.
Precisely. A fundamental oscillation of the entire universe. A continuous cycle where love structures motion and then strife comes in and restructures it over and over.
A cosmic dance.
That's a perfect way to describe it. And he thought this played out in huge cosmic cycles. Epochs dominated first by love, then by strife.
So periods of harmony and unity, then periods of separation and discord.
Exactly. Love brings everything together into one perfect sphere. Then strife gradually pulls it all apart, creating the diverse world we see, and then love starts pulling it back together again.
And what's really striking is how this idea of an eternal rhythmic interchange, as the sources call it, feels like, well, it mirrors natural cycles we observe everywhere.
It really does. Think about ecosystems, planetary orbits, maybe even cosmic evolution itself, these grand oscillations.
Yeah. He had that incredible quote, There is no coming to be nor passing away, but there is mixture and separation of what has been mixed.
That quote sums it up beautifully, doesn't it? For him, reality wasn't about things popping into existence or vanishing. It was just constant rearrangement, constant restructuring through motion.
It really changes how you might think about beginnings and endings in your own life, actually.
It does. It's all process.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Some of his other ideas seem incredibly prescient, almost like glimpses of modern science. What about his theory of perception?
Right. This is fascinating. He suggested, very early on, that perception happens through an interaction of motion patterns between the outside world and our sense organs inside.
How did he think that works? Like, first sight?
Well, his specific idea was a bit off, scientifically. He thought we see because fire, high-frequency motion, remember, streams out from our eyes and interacts with similar patterns outside.
Okay, so the mechanism was wrong, but what was the core idea there?
The genius insight wasn't the detail, it was the principle. The perception is fundamentally about synchronization, matching internal motion patterns with external ones. And that idea, it resonates hugely with modern neuroscience.
Wow. Synchronization as the basis of perception. Okay. And he also had thoughts on evolution. How did that work in his system?
Yeah, a very early, almost bizarre-sounding theory of biological evolution. He imagined random body parts, arms, legs, heads forming spontaneously.
Spontaneously, just popping up.
Kind of, yeah, under the influence of love and strife cycles. Love would randomly combine these parts into primitive organisms.
Okay. And then,
well, the combinations that happened to be functional, that worked, they survived. The ones that were jumbled messes, they just perished.
so a kind of natural selection, but based on random assembly.
Sort of.
Okay.
It wasn't Darwinian selection as we know it, but you can see a connection. From a motion theory view, it's like evolution as structured motion optimization.
Meaning?
Meaning successful life forms were those whose internal motion patterns, their biological rhythms and structures, managed to synchronize effectively with the motion patterns of their environment.
Ah, so it's about aligning rhythms, like a plant syncing with sunlight cycles.
Exactly. The better the rhythmic match, the better the survival.
Yeah.
It's adaptation viewed as dynamic alignment, a very abstract early version of that idea.
It's just incredible. So summing up Empedocles, despite the mythology, the poetry, the lack of, labs and data, his legacy is really about being a proto-motion theorist.
I think that's fair to say. He grasped these core ideas intuitively. Reality emerging from rhythm, love, and strife. Matter as structured motion, the elements. Perception as synchronization. Even evolution as motion optimization.
He was touching on ideas that would later pop up in thermodynamics, evolution, neuroscience, systems theory.
All without the formal tools. It's really quite profound.
And how does he fit with other ancient thinkers we've looked at who focused on change and motion, like Heraclitus or Laozi?
That's a great point. They each offered a different piece of the puzzle, didn't they? Heraclitus gave us constant flux, change itself. Laozi focused on environmental rhythms, balance, the Tao. Buddha on internal impermanence.
So what was Empedocles' unique contribution to that motion lineage?
Empedocles brought in the cosmic scale, the elemental interplay, driven by these fundamental forces of convergence and divergence, love and strife. Together, they really sketched out this grand vision that motion theory tries to formalize today, reality as structured motion at every level.
And these ancient ideas, they're not just historical curiosities, are they? They still echo.
Absolutely. Think about cosmology today, ideas about oscillating universes, the big bounce. That's cosmic rhythm on a grand scale.
Or ecology. Ecosystems go through cycles of stability and disruption, growth and collapse.
It's love and strife playing out in ecological terms, essentially.
Yeah.
Rhythmic restructuring.
And neuroscience, as you said, with perception and cognition as synchronization.
Right. His intuitive grasp of motion's role keeps resurfacing. It places him firmly in that historical line leading to modern motion theory.
So, the final verdict. Empedocles wasn't just an ancient philosopher mixing myths and elements.
No, far from it. He was someone who intuitively sensed the deep principles of structured motion, of synchronization and desynchronization, long, long before we had the science to articulate it formally.
He saw the universe as this rhythmic, pulsating thing, reality as constant restructuring, not fixed being.
Exactly. He saw perception as a matching of rhythms, evolution as a kind of rhythmic tuning.
It's quite a vision. Even expressed poetically, the core insights are powerful. He didn't just see earth, air, fire, water. He saw motion weaving through them all.
An endless dance of structuring and restructuring.
Which leaves us with a thought for you listening right now. If reality truly is this dance of structured motion, these rhythms and oscillations, how might paying more attention to the rhythms in your own life, your thoughts, your habits, your relationships give you new insights? Insights into growth, maybe, or change, or even finding harmony.
It's a fascinating question to ponder. How attuned are we to the rhythms that shape our own existence?